Imagine a kid from the gritty streets of Atlanta chasing a dream so big it felt like it could lift him out of poverty and into a world of possibility. That kid was me, Inky Johnson, and my story isn't just about football. It's about resilience, faith, and discovering a purpose far greater than any touchdown. Growing up in a two-bedroom home with 14 people, sleeping on pallets, and watching my mom grind through double shifts at Wendy's, I clung to one dream: the NFL. It wasn't just about fame or money. It was about buying my own bed, easing my mom's burden, and rewriting my family's story. But life, as I learned, has a way of redirecting us when we least expect it. This is my journey, from the concrete fields of Atlanta to a hospital bed fighting for my life, and ultimately to a purpose that changed not just me, but everyone around me. Buckle up, because this story will challenge you to rethink adversity, rediscover your why, and live with unshakable passion. I grew up in Atlanta, not in the shiny downtown you see on TV, but in a neighborhood where survival was a daily hustle. Our home was a cramped two-bedroom sanctuary for 14 of us: me, my mom, my cousins, and a revolving cast of relatives. We slept on pallets, the kind of makeshift beds that make you dream of something better. My mom worked double shifts at Wendy's, her hands calloused from flipping burgers, her heart heavy with the weight of providing for us. I was 7 when I first uttered the words, "I want to play in the NFL." The dream wasn't born from watching heroes on TV. It was born from desperation. Maybe, I thought, I can get my own bed. Maybe I can pull mom off those double shifts. Football wasn't just a game. It was my escape. I didn't start on manicured grass fields. I played on concrete, dodging cars and scraping my knees bloody. The street was my arena, and every tackle, every spin move was fueled by a raw, unfiltered love for the game. Back then, it wasn't about politics or validation. It was about passion, pure, unapologetic passion. I'd run home, scars and all, buzzing with the joy of doing something I loved. That passion carried me through the chaos of my environment, where drug dealers ruled the corners and hope was a rare commodity. But Atlanta wasn't just a backdrop of struggle. It was a community of unsung heroes who saw potential in a scrawny kid like me. Teachers, neighbors, and mentors stepped in, guiding me toward a path out of the streets. Their belief in me was a lifeline, pulling me toward college, a dream that felt as distant as the moon. I earned a scholarship to the University of Tennessee, where I played football, not just for myself, but for everyone who'd poured into me. College was a revelation: 5 meals a day, a smoothie machine, a barber chair, and a shot at an education, the great equalizer. I was on track, starting as a sophomore, earning accolades and eyeing the NFL. Life was looking up. But just when I thought I'd made it, the universe had other plans. My entire life had been a sprint toward the NFL. Every decision, every sacrifice, every early morning hustle was aimed at that goal. The National Football League wasn't just a career, it was my ticket to rewrite my family's story. But as I learned, the NFL also stands for not for long. I was inches away from that dream when, in a single moment, everything changed. It was September 9th, 2006, my junior year at Tennessee. We were playing Air Force, a team running a triple option offense that had us scrambling. In the fourth quarter, with less than 2 minutes left, I saw my chance. The quarterback was rolling out, and I had quarters coverage. I could see the play unfolding in high definition, like a movie I'd scripted myself. "Thank you, God," I whispered. I got exactly what I asked for. I took off, a 4.38-second 40-yard dash speed propelling me toward the tackle. I hit the quarterback with everything I had, aiming to separate him from the ball. But in that collision, something unimaginable happened. My body went limp. Every breath left me. I hit the ground, blacked out, and when my eyes opened, my teammates were yelling, "Inky, get up! Let's close this out!" But I couldn't move. A shock ran from my head to my feet, and I couldn't feel anything. "I can't," I said, my voice trembling. They didn't understand. "What do you mean you can't? You always get up." But I couldn't. The shock faded everywhere except my right arm and hand, where it lingered like a cruel reminder. They brought out a spine board, wheeled me off the field, and loaded me into an ambulance. My dad was there and I managed a weak, "Pops, I got him, right?" He nodded, but his eyes said something else. "You got the worst of this one, son." At the hospital, they ran tests, assuring me it was just football stuff. My mom kissed my forehead, cracked a joke, and said I'd be fine. But as she walked out, the head doctor burst in, shouting, "Get him to emergency surgery! He's about to die!" I'd ruptured my subclavian artery, bleeding internally. They needed to take a vein from my leg to save my life. "You won't be here in the morning," the doctor said. I thought he was exaggerating, but his urgency was real. I woke up the next morning, against all odds, bandaged from neck to knees with 350 staples holding me together. Surgery revealed more than a ruptured artery. I'd torn 200 nerves in my brachial plexus, the nerve roots controlling my shoulder, arm, and hand. They were like a plug ripped from a socket, irreparable. My career was over. My right arm and hand were paralyzed. My life, as I knew it, was gone. Lying in that hospital bed, I felt like I'd let God down. I'd been given so much: talent, opportunity, a community that believed in me, and all I'd focused on was the NFL. It felt like low-hanging fruit, a shallow pursuit compared to the gifts I'd been entrusted with. My dad, standing by my bed, was furious. "How does this God you love so much let this happen?" he demanded. "You go to church, you pray, you do everything right. How does he let this happen?" His pain was raw, rooted in losing his mom to cancer at 14 and now watching his son's dreams shatter. I didn't have answers, but I could hear God whispering, "I got you." I wanted to snap back, "You've got a funny way of showing it." Yet, in that moment of brokenness, I found clarity. My life had been a series of choices aimed at controlling my destiny, but control was an illusion. I'd been quoting scriptures my whole life: James 1:2-4 about counting trials as joy, Romans 8:28 about all things working for good, Jeremiah 29:11 about God's plans for hope and a future. But now I had to live them. Not just recite them, but embody them in the face of loss. God wasn't punishing me. He was redirecting me. He was saying, "Not yet, Inky. I've got something sweeter, something greater. Trust me." Trusting God, when you can't trace His plan, is like walking blindfolded through a storm. But I chose to lean in. When my coach, Philip Fulmer, walked into my hospital room and asked, "Inky, how you doing?" I looked at him and said, "Coach, I'm blessed. I'm good. I'm still alive." Those words weren't bravado. They were a declaration of faith. My career was over, but my purpose was just beginning. To understand how I got here, I need to take you back to a pivotal moment in my childhood. One evening, as my cousins and I played tackle football on the street, a blue pickup truck rolled up. Out stepped Trey Hurst, the first white guy we'd ever seen in our neighborhood. The drug dealers scattered, thinking he was a cop. But Trey wasn't there to arrest anyone. He was there to change lives. He walked right into our game and said, "Would y'all like to play football on grass?" I was sold. "Man, where you been?" I laughed. He told me to get my parents, so I ran inside to grab my Uncle JJ. Trey introduced himself, admitting he wasn't even supposed to be in our neighborhood. He dropped off a kid from practice and saw us playing in the street. "I run a program across town," he said. "I think it could impact these boys' lives." Not a word about football, just life. My uncle explained we couldn't afford it. My mom was a single mother working double shifts. My cousins' dads were in and out of the system. Without hesitation, Trey said, Bring them to the park tomorrow. I'll sign them up and pay for it myself. I nudged my cousin, whispering, he hasn't even seen my spin move yet. Trey didn't care about our talent, he cared about our potential. At the park, I saw Trey wasn't just helping me and my cousins. He was doing this for kids all across Atlanta. A successful construction business owner, he didn't need to coach Little League, let alone stop on the east side for a kid like me. But he did. Through football, he taught me how to live. Sit in the front of class, show respect, treat people right. One night, when he drove me home because my mom was stuck at work, I asked him, "Why do you live like this?" He stepped out of his truck, looked me in the eyes, and said, "Son, I love you." The first man to ever say those words to me. Then he added, "As long as you live your life to make sure someone else's life is okay, your life will always be okay." Those words became my North Star. I applied them to everything: sports, school, relationships. As a four-sport athlete, I played for my teammates, not with them. I lived for my family, not just with them. Trey's formula, make someone else's life okay and yours will be too, shaped me into a vessel for impact. Back at Tennessee, I was living that formula. I told my coaches my plan: graduate in 3 years and go to the NFL to help my family. I wasn't a great test taker, but I had the character to show up and do what I said I'd do. I started as a sophomore, had a breakout season, and was nominated SEC Defensive Player of the Week after our first game. But the Air Force game changed everything. Post-injury, the hardest part wasn't the physical pain or the end of my career. It was watching teammates take their opportunity for granted. I'd stand on the sidelines, arm in a sling, watching guys with world-class talent treat practice like a chore. It broke my heart to see potential squandered, to watch people count the hours instead of making the hours count. I'd given everything to the game and now I couldn't play, but I refused to let that define me. I was back in class that Monday, 2 days after emergency surgery. By Wednesday, I was at practice, strapped into a sling, running sprints in the sandpit with my teammates. I looked at Eric Berry, who'd later wear number 29 in the NFL in my honor, and said, "You better not let me beat you." My teammates became my family in a new way. They showed up at my house, tying my shoes when I couldn't, driving me to church and FCA meetings. They didn't just support me, they carried me. Commitment isn't conditional. I didn't sign up to be a great teammate only if things went my way. I vowed to show up, injured or not, alive or barely. Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord." That's how I played, and that's how I live. Adversity isn't a roadblock, it's a refining fire. The comfort zone is a trap, beautiful, but stagnant. Growth demands sacrifice, discomfort, and the courage to keep going when the outcome isn't guaranteed. The most unexpected gift of my injury was its impact on my dad. He'd been absent most of my life, scarred by his own losses. When I got hurt, he showed up in a way I'd never seen. "I'm staying with you for 30 days, he said. He took me to class, church, rehab, everywhere. He'd stand outside FCA meetings, listening as I wrestled with faith. He'd lie on the training table, piling on heat packs until his back was raw, carrying a burden he didn't know how to release. On the 29th day, my number, my favorite verse, Jeremiah 29:11, he walked into my room as I prayed. My roommates, NFL-bound stars like Ramon Foster, were nearby. He said, "Inky, that God you pray to, that God you go to church for, if he can help you handle this the way you're handling it, I want to give my life to Christ." I nearly leapt off my knees. "Praise God, let's do it," I said. My dad gave his life to Christ, redirecting his path from destruction. His salvation corrected his household, impacting my 3 half-sisters. My roommates, Ramon, Jared Mayo, Robert Ayers, all gave their lives to Christ too. People ask, "Inky, would you change what happened?" I wouldn't. If I had to weigh the NFL against my dad's salvation and my friend's faith, I'd choose the latter every time. That's the real contract. Long, rich, and eternal. It's not about fame or money. It's about impact. My injury wasn't a curse, it was a catalyst. It taught me that life isn't about what happens to you. It's about how you respond. Resilience isn't just chasing goals. It's staying grateful when the path twists. Consistency keeps you grounded, but gratitude multiplies your purpose. My story isn't just about football. It's about discovering who you're really playing for. Here are the lessons I've carried from the concrete streets to the hospital bed to every stage I stand on today. Rediscover the love that drove you to start. Don't let validation or politics dilute your commitment. Play for the joy, not the spotlight. Life will knock you down, but you control how you get up. Adversity is a teacher, not a tyrant. Keep showing up, no matter what. You don't inherit character. You forge it through trials. Wake up every day ready to fight for who you want to be. Live to make someone else's life better, and your life will find meaning. Annihilate your pride and serve others. It's the formula for a life well lived. Trust God's plan, even when it doesn't make sense. Jeremiah 29:11 promises hope and a future, but you have to walk through the fire to see it. Stay thankful, even in pain. Gratitude doesn't just sustain you, it amplifies your purpose and opens doors you never imagined. Today, my right arm is still paralyzed, but my heart, mind, and drive are unstoppable. Every day, I use this arm, not just to live, but to lift others. I work with NFL teams, speaking to players who face the same identity crises I did. I see high schoolers and pros alike struggling to remember their why. My message to them and to you is simple. Don't burn out because life made you forget why you started. Ask yourself, why do I do this? Who am I doing it for? If it's for ego or accolades, you'll crumble when the jersey comes off. But if it's for God's glory, for your family, for your community, you'll stand firm through any storm. I'm not here for applause, I'm here to owe you excellence. Every time I step into a room, I bring my best, because that's what you deserve. So here's my challenge to you, America. Live with passion. Chase your goals with resilience. Make someone else's life better, and watch yours transform. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it, a teammate, a friend, a family member. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's your why? What keeps you going when life hits hard? And if this resonated, follow my journey on insert platform for more stories of faith, grit, and purpose. Let's keep this conversation alive. Let's remind each other why we do what we do. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the game you play, it's about the legacy you leave. Keep shining, keep fighting, and keep trusting that God's got something sweeter on the other side.